Hey y'all, hey, back with another video. So, I'm here today to talk very briefly. Now, I want to make sure I'm very clear on this on out front. I've been watching the WWE for almost a year, I think. Well, no, not exactly a year. So I started after WrestleMania of 2024. So I watched WrestleMania because it was a lot of fanfare around it. And I knew, mind you, prior to WrestleMania 2024, I have not watched wrestling, child, probably since 2000 and maybe 10, and that's pushing it as far as I'm concerned, right? So I have been casually watching, kind of peeping in here and there. I like my TikTok is very WWE heavy, so I've been able to keep up with things like that. I liked the documentary that Netflix did. So I want to set the table before I like really go into my review, right? So, you know, WWE now has a partnership with Netflix where Raw is no longer on USA like it's been my whole mother effing life, okay? And it's now going to be on Netflix live. I did tune in for the entire show and I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts as someone who casually views it, and I have some thoughts as like how I think maybe newer viewers would kind of like take it, because I'm kind of still like a newer viewer kind of to a degree. I'm a little aware of some things, some of the storylines, but anyway. So it starts off. I really, really, really liked the package that they played at the beginning. Like I really, really, really did. If anybody can tell me what era are we coming out of, I'm gonna call it the G-rated era. So one of the things that I was really interested in with the WWE coming to Netflix, and I'm wanting to see where we're kind of going, is are we going to be like upping the ante a little bit more, like a little bit more, I'm not even trying to be fun, but like a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more like the ruthless / attitude era, because I feel like I came in during like a G-rated era. When I would tune into wrestling like here and there prior to like really getting into it last year, I've always known, that like wrestling, is not fake, but you know what I mean, like in that sense. But it just seemed extremely staged at some point. And once I got back into the WWE, I felt as if, again, I grew up during the attitude era, during the ruthless aggression era. So to go from that to what I see today, it's definitely toned down completely. Like very, very toned down. So I'm interested in, going over to Netflix. Are they going to try to like up it a little bit? It feels kind of like we're on the precipice of like the attitude era. Like I feel like we're at the beginning of something big for the WWE. I feel like last year, hell, the reason I even watched it is because I think the WWE did a good job of trying to extend out a little bit more into the mainstream, which is what I feel the WWE has been lacking. And like the last decade is like the mainstream appeal that maybe it had in like the early to mid, like 2000s. So I loved, all of that to say is that I really, really, really loved the package. I thought it told the story of wrestling pretty good in like under 3 minutes. We saw all of the icons. We saw all of the legends. Let me tell you something about Triple H. Let me tell you something about Hunter. That has been my husband since I started wrestling. Like since I started watching. That has been my husband and it never changed. Triple H was my husband. Randy Orton was my boyfriend. And Batista was my side piece. No, sorry. Batista was my boyfriend. Triple H was my husband. Randy Orton was my side piece. That's always how it was my entire time growing up. It never changed. Loved seeing him. I think that I think Triple H has done a great job since he's taken over. You can really tell the way that they're moving. Like, you can tell how they're really trying to get back into like the mainstream conscious of pop culture. You can really tell. But anyway, I really loved the beginning, you know. And to continue that mainstream appeal, who's the first person that comes out after Triple H? The big boss, the final boss, excuse me, not the final boss, okay? AKA The Rock, AKA Dwayne Johnson, AKA Mr. Moana, okay? He comes out, okay, as they say, literally the biggest celebrity, the biggest WWE star. Literally, take him out of the WWE. The Rock is one of the biggest fucking actors in Hollywood, period. Period is no getting around it, right? So, I have some feelings, you know, I do like my little due diligence, and I've been trying to kind of like get into, you know, like the WWE, like little universe, and like look at different podcasts and kind of, you know, really get like a nice little feel from specifically the WWE universe, not casual fans, but like their perspective. And I have heard you guys' perspective on The Rock. Now, I do agree with a lot of people when they're saying that the Rock that we got Monday was not like final boss Rock. It wasn't the character. It was more so like Dwayne Johnson, the business owner, the shareholder, because, you know, I know he has parts like in WWE now. And so I thought that it made sense, right? So as somebody that's in marketing, I thought it made sense to bring out, like, the first two people that you see are literally the biggest people, or like two of the biggest people like in wrestling, and crosses generational lines. I think that's something that's really, really important in the WWE that I feel like they have, you know, like been able to like exploit a little bit. And I think that going into this new era, they need to lean on that more, because let me not speak for the whole world. I know that this is like streamed across the world, but I'm talking about specifically in America, because I don't know how other countries have interacted with the WWE. But if you are a certain age, I would say if you're like, I don't know, like, damn, because it's getting even higher now. That's how long the WWE. I say if you like 50 and downwards, right? Which that's a big gap. But I feel like if you're 50 and downwards, you have some type of inclination to the WWE, right? Now, I do feel like, again, part of the reasons why to me that made sense is because Triple H and The Rock, they cross multiple generational lines, right? So like, my grandmother knows who The Rock is. The Rock was my mom's favorite wrestler when I was a fucking kid. Then I know The Rock and I'm 30. Then like my sister who is 18 knows who The Rock is. But my cousin who's like 7 or 8 also knows who The Rock is. You know, even though that kid may have not been around and watching like TV or watching wrestling when I was during like the Ruthless and Attitude Era, but he's still familiar with who he is. He still very much so knows that he was a wrestler at one point, and knows that he sees him in all of these other, you know, films. So I think, and Triple H isn't The Rock, but he's known. He is the face of the WWE, like from a business standpoint. And because he was a wrestler and because he's been around for such a long time, I think that most people are aware of who he is too. The same way most people are aware of who Hulk is, who The Undertaker is. I think they were very, very strategic in the legends and the people that they pulled out, right? So let's start with Triple H, then let's bring in The Rock, who everybody knows, right? I was kind of annoyed, I would say, with this. Like, okay, I get that this is a Netflix partnership. Like, I get this. But, like, how many different ways were y'all going to shove that down our throat? We are literally watching this show on Netflix. So how much more outside of Triple H saying this is the Netflix era, and then maybe The Rock could have said one thing about it, but the constant shoving down our throats as the consumer of it's WWE Netflix, like, no shit. No shit. How else do you think we're consuming this right now? How else do you think we're consuming this? It's through Netflix. We Got it. So I wish The Rock would have pulled a little bit back. Like, y'all showing the Netflix people throughout the whole night, we don't care. Those are people who probably worked really hard and really like even made all of this come to fruition. But I'm telling you, as the average consumer, don't care. Just provide us with the product. We don't care about how the business got done. Just provide us with the damn product, right? So that was really annoying to me. But let's talk about Cody Rhodes for a second, right? Let's talk about Cody for a second, because when I watched this, I was a little confused. And then seeing some of like the people who like review wrestling and watch wrestling, and seeing like the next couple of days after Raw like went off, what their reaction was, made me feel like, okay, I know I wasn't just losing my mind. And again, this is as a casual fan, meaning I am aware, but I don't necessarily tune in every single week. Again, I just started wrestling for the first time in over a decade last WrestleMania. Now, let's go back for a second, right? When I first started rewatching wrestling, I had never I had never heard or saw Cody Rhodes. Maybe I saw him, but I have never heard of Cody Rhodes. I didn't know that he was the biggest thing in wrestling. I didn't know nothing about this man. I didn't even know until this damn documentary that that's Dusty's son. Like, all of that connected for me just recently too, right? So watching WrestleMania, again, as somebody that was going for a long time, it was pretty clear that Cody, from watching, was that guy. It was confusing to me at the time because I'm like, damn, I've never heard of this person. Now, I did hear of Rhea, maybe because I'm on TikTok, so I see her like a decent amount, but I had never heard of Cody. But when I watched WrestleMania, what was very clear as somebody who had never watched is that Cody was that guy. Cody was that guy. He got the main event spot, the reaction from the crowd, like he is really that guy. I will say that watching WWE Raw live on Netflix this past Monday, you would have no idea, as a new person popping in, how important Cody is to the WWE. Now, the only thing that I could think of why they did not highlight Cody, and please correct me if I'm wrong, again, I don't know, I'm new to this, is that from my understanding, because let me say this, let me be clear, I don't really watch wrestling, quote unquote. I was mostly just watching Raw. I barely ever tuned into SmackDown this whole year. I barely tuned into AEW. I sometimes might like tune into NXT, but I don't watch SmackDown at all, right? And so from my understanding, I think, isn't Cody technically on SmackDown and not Raw? So maybe, this is the only excuse that I could come up with in my head, maybe the only reason why, instead of Cody actually like having an entrance and stuff, maybe the only reason why like The Rock was just shouting him out, like, oh, you're right there in the front row, thank you for carrying the company on its back, is because maybe they didn't want to confuse the viewer. Because, okay, let's just say, right, that Cody has a whole full entrance, right? He has the pyros, all of that. He comes out, the crowd goes crazy, right? The newer fans or the newer viewers may not understand that, like, next week when Raw comes back on, that we probably won't see Cody, right? Because from my please tell me, I'm pretty sure that Cody is not on Raw, he's on SmackDown, because all the times I watched Raw, I only seen him pop in. So maybe they didn't do that because this is about Raw on Netflix, not SmackDown, not AEW, not NXT. This is about specifically Monday Night Raw being on Netflix. So if we give too much light on Cody for this, right, then maybe new watchers may expect Cody to be there, like, you know, for all of the shows. So let's say he came out, he got a, as y'all will call it, a pop, a big ass pop, and then as a newer fan, I'm like, oh, okay, like, this guy seems cool, like, all right, maybe I'll stick around to see what happens. Now, if I come back next week and I don't see Cody or any mention of him, then that might be confusing as a new viewer as to, like, well, where's the guy who kind of looks like Homelander? And then it has to be explained, or you have to figure out some way, somehow, that he's not on this show, he's actually on another show. So that's the only reason that I think that maybe they didn't like really give Cody what he deserves, is because this was about Raw. So that's why you saw the people that's on Raw be highlighted. So Roman and Rhea and and Liv and Seth Rollins. I feel like maybe that's why. However, with that excuse being said, I still think, and like I said, this is as somebody that genuinely, this is just like my honest opinion. I think it was pure BS that Shaw didn't give Cody more than that. I'm sorry. Bitch, we could have got rid of Hulk coming out, which we'll get to later, and just had Cody come out and say something. And even if y'all felt like what I just said, which is like maybe the viewer would be confused, I think you could have easily set it up to where Cody could have came out and just made it very clear within his speech, like, hey, like, I'm just coming to visit from SmackDown, but I wanted to be part of this historic night. I've always loved the Raw, and you won't see me every week, but don't worry, I'm gonna make sure that I'm popping in. I feel like there's a way that they could have allowed Cody to really like shine in this moment, because it felt like to me like he was kind of minimized, like, in my opinion. I feel like if I was a new person watching wrestling, I would walk away not understanding the significance of Cody. I would have no idea. I would have no idea why he's so important. I would have no idea why the crowd went up for him the way that they did. He just seemed like really inconsequential, to be quite honest, when Rock is saying to him, you carried this company on your back for the last year. So if that's the case, even though this is not about SmackDown, why would you not put like the premier guy who's been holding shit down? If it's on a worldwide platform, why not give him his flowers on this worldwide platform? That is confusing to me. Some people said, like, I don't know, maybe it's a shot at Cody. This is my theory. I feel like either A, it was, like I said, the whole thing about not wanting to be confused about SmackDown, or B, it could be on some, thank you, Cody, for holding it down for us for the last year, but now bye. Like, we're in a new era now. And I can honestly see them making Jay Uso the new quote unquote face. Again, as somebody that's only been into this for like about 9 months, almost a year, whenever WrestleMania comes up soon, almost a year, Jay Uso was the main number one person out. Don't get me started on the announcer and like her leaving, because she was like my second fave, but whatever. Jay Uso to me is the main person that popped out when I first started watching. I thought that his energy was great. I loved the crowd like interaction, and it seems like as time has gone on, like the last year I've been watching, like he's only been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I wonder if they played Cody to the side like that to be like, God, but thank you for holding it down, but we about to really focus on Jay. Like Jay actually being the person, Jay, Jimmy, and Roman really being the people to hold this whole thing down, not just you. Regardless, I think it was shady. And Cody looked clean. That man don't own a bad suit. And he was beating ass all up and down that arena with hard bottoms on. Like, I just felt like that was kind of disrespectful to Cody, but maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, move on. So then, like I said, The Rock comes out. He does his thing. So I believe the first match was Roman versus Solo. Y'all know how I go up for Roman. Love Roman. I thought that the first match, so as I said earlier, right, I feel like the WWE must have been in like a G-rated type of era. It gave very much like for kids under the age of like 8 and 9, right? So I'm wondering, I'm still wondering, going into Netflix where there's not as much like red tape, as far as like what you can say, what you can't say, like versus like being on cable TV. When Jay Uso came out with Travis Scott was smoking a blunt. So like, I'm wondering, are we going to be leaning more back towards the attitude versus ruthless aggression era, where it's like more for like, instead of kids under 8, it's more so for like kids between the ages of like 9 and like going all the way up to like 21? Like, are we going to be hitting more of like the teen to early adult market, where it gets a little bit more gritty, a little bit more violent? I guess I would say that's what I'm interested in seeing. So that first match, I thought it was very reminiscent of, you know, when I first started watching wrestling. So like, they brought out the tables, I was like, yes. They brought out the chairs, I said yes. Okay, classic TLC. All we needed the ladder and we would have been fine. Everybody kind of like jumping in and coming from all of these places. Kevin Owens coming out of nowhere, Cody coming out of nowhere. Like, it was a lot going on that first little match, but I thought it was good. It was a good way to set the pace of what we was looking for. Now, I think later, maybe after that, I think The Rock comes out and puts like the wreath or whatever over Roman. I'm here to say I'm not buying this whole nice guy act from The Rock. I'm not buying the, oh, I have no problem with Cody now, and they're backstage like clinking beers and shit. I don't believe it. I think it's a fucking setup. And even as somebody that doesn't even understand why Cody and The Rock doesn't get along, when he was talking to Roman, I thought that he was going to do something. And when he talked to Cody, I thought he was going to do something. I'm not buying it. The whole, oh, we're clean, we're going to clear the slate and it's going to be fine. I think it's bullshit. And if that's really how y'all did it, I think that was a weak way to like clear the deck, to be quite honest. I thought it was weird. Like I said, even somebody that's not too familiar with what the issue is, it felt off. It felt off. It felt like The Rock was going to punch somebody in the face, and that it was like the whole, oh, we're cool. It felt fake. Even with him acting, it felt fake. Didn't like it. So yeah, so The Rock comes out, does that, tells Roman that he's so proud of him, whatever. What's the next thing that happened? I would say, because I don't got notes, I'm really just trying to go off the top of my head. So, okay. Next match. Rhea and Liv. Now, I like the storyline of Rhea and Liv and Dom and Damian Priest. Like, I like that storyline. I love the Dirty Dom thing. I think it's great. I love that we boo him every time he opens his mouth. I love that. But I feel like this match was not a great way to represent women in the WWE. I was left very underwhelmed. I feel like there's been this whole buildup kind of to like Liv and Rhea, because obviously her title got randomly taken away from her. Like, that was also weird. Can somebody explain that? That was also weird too, coming into this with Rhea having the belt and then out of absolutely nowhere she doesn't have it anymore because she allegedly got hurt. Girl, bye. Bullshit. But anyway, this whole storyline all the way up to this point has been that whole thing of Rhea trying to get her title back. And I just felt like it was so anticlimactic. Like, first of all, I felt like the fight was too long. Like, I'm not even including commercials, but it felt like the fight was too long. It didn't feel like anything grand really happened. Like, I was just really disappointed in the fight. And I'm disappointed because, okay, again, coming from the era that I was watching it, there were women wrestlers, but nobody took them seriously other than China. The only person, even as me, myself, that I took seriously as like a wrestler was China. I didn't take Trish Stratus seriously. I mean, Stacy Keibler might have been my favorite, like, woman wrestler, like, at that time, but I didn't take Stacy, like, seriously either, like, in the way that, you know, like, she should be. So, coming back into the WWE, when I see, like, y'all have, like, not just, like, very pretty girl, but girls like, what's her name? Tiffy Time. That's a beautiful girl, but that girl can, like, wrestle for real. Like, she's amazing. Liv is a very pretty white woman, but she can wrestle very well. Rhea, very pretty, but she can wrestle very well. Same thing with Bianca and Naomi. But I felt like what felt different, like I said, this time versus before, is like, okay, all of these girls are like beautiful, but they can actually really wrestle. Like, they're not just here to be somebody's sex symbol and go about their day. I don't feel as if somebody watching it like for the first time or for the first time in a long time, I don't think they would have walked away feeling like the female wrestlers like really give it the fuck up. Like, it didn't come off that way. I don't know who to blame for that, but I didn't like it. It made me, I was very disappointed. So after Rhea wins, right, then all of the lights cut out. Boom. Okay, obviously Undertaker, he just kind of pulls up in his vroom, his motorcycle, goes in a circle, leans over to Rhea, says, look back when I do. They both look back, and then that was that. You know, I mean, it's cool. Like, it's always going to be cool to have the Undertaker come out, in a sense of like, it's always going to be cool when all of the lights in the building go out and you hear the doom, the same way when the glass breaks and you hear, where was Stone Cold Steve Austin? Where was Stone Cold Steve Austin? I'm not understanding or accepting why he wasn't there if everybody else was there. Not making sense to me. But he came out. I mean, I didn't really feel much about that. It made sense, like I said, from a marketing standpoint of, oh my gosh, it's The Undertaker. Everybody knows who The Undertaker is, regardless of age bracket, right? So, cool, I guess, whatever. We saw Stephanie. That was nice. You know, I know people don't like Stephanie McMahon. I really do. I don't care. I've always liked her. Even when she was an asshole and even when everybody hated her, I always loved Stephanie. I just like her. It just is what it is. You don't got to. I do. Hulk. Let's talk about Hulk for a second, right? Okay, let's talk about Hulk. So the Hulk comes out looking like the Crypt Creeper. He looked terrible, okay? And immediate boos. I mean, he got booed legitimately out of the building. Now, when I was watching the Mr. McMahon documentary, and I think Hulk talked about, you know, how he had went against somebody and he was getting booed so badly that he was like, I think maybe I just need to step away because people ain't really feeling me. I don't know how them boos sounded, because we ain't have clear audio the way we do today, and we don't have as many like different angles. But not only did you could clearly hear it when it was on Netflix, but if you go on TikTok and you watch any of the other like videos of people that was actually there, the boos were intense. They are not playing with that man. Now, I am with people when they say, I don't think, like, a lot of people are blaming it strictly on, oh, because it's California, it's a blue state, and because because Hulk, you know, is on Trump's side. That's why. I don't really feel like that's where it comes from. Maybe a little bit, but I think it's because like Hogan is racist. Like, there is no, oh, we think, no, he is racist, and it has been proven time and time and time again that he is racist. Nobody plays that shit. Like, especially, you will know what you write. In California, don't nobody play that being racist shit. Number 2, other wrestlers, from me doing my own research in the last couple of damn days and even before that, it's clear that it's not just the public. Other wrestlers don't even fuck with Hogan. And if I'm going off of the Mr. McMahon documentary, it seems like to me, number one, outside of the whole thing of you pretty much axing or snitching when it came to the whole thing about the wrestlers having the union, it also gave that you was just pretty much like Mr. McMahon's like his doing boy. Like, you was just gonna go and tell. You was his crunk to his Yzma. You know what I mean? Like, every time something was going on, you running to go back to daddy and snitch. You running back to daddy to go and do this. And you going against all of the other wrestlers, like the definition of the company man. In the sense of, I'm going to sell all of y'all out if it means that I'm going to be good. And that Vince won't be mad at me. Trash. That's why I think that's why he got booed. I think it's a combination of things. From everything that I've known about Hulk Hogan, he's a trash person. And this ain't the 80s no more, homie. Nobody gives a fuck no more. The only people who did not deserve this was, what's that damn man? I think his name is Jerry, that was standing behind him, and Brooke Hogan. Those are the only 2 people. All Brooke Hogan did was make a hell of a pop album in the mid 2000s. That's it. And she gave us a bop. That's the only person who didn't deserve this, because I feel bad, because I'm pretty sure she felt bad for her daddy. But your daddy is trash, Brooke. Your daddy is trash. I don't think, let me say this one more time, I don't think he got booed. And as people keep rightfully pointing out, when The Undertaker came out, now granted, it wasn't like when he drove around in his motorcycle, but it was an initial pop, as y'all would say, when all of the lights went out and you realized that it was him. But guess what? He did not get the same boos. And I think most people know that The Undertaker like does back Trump or whatever. But outside of that, number one, he's way too iconic. And number two, we don't know enough about him outside of like maybe he kind of like supports Trump to like really boo him hard. Hulk is truly a terrible person. And that's been said by like a lot of people. So no, get his ass out of here. Hunter, you and Netflix tried it, bringing that old man out here. And then to promote some damn bear that we don't give a fuck about, get him out of here. Get him out of here. We don't want him anymore, okay? We're good. We have The Undertaker. We have Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're good. We don't need nobody. We got Shawn Michaels. We're good. We got Brett. We're good. We got you, Triple H. We don't need him. He's important. We get it. He's important. He's in the fabric. We got it. We understood. It's understood. It's respected. But get him off our screen. Loved it. Loved it. Loved the fact that y'all booed the shit out of him. That was great. And finally, the last thing I kind of want to touch on is this last little fight between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Now, I am genuinely asking for y'all to get in the comments and explain, because I have no idea. If I'm going off of what Michael Cole said, which shout out to Michael Cole. Oh. Before we go, let's back up for a second. Sorry. I didn't even talk about Jay. Okay, so Jay Uso came out to fight. Who the hell did he fight? Did he fight Drew McIntyre? I can't remember who Jay fought, but Jay came out and he came out with Travis Scott. Like I said, Travis Scott had a whole blunt in his hand. It was a nice, I really go up for Jay Uso. Jay and Jimmy and Sammy, I go up. There's nothing more for me to say. I really go up. And again, that France, I think it was Backlash entrance that Jay did, sealed it for me. That moment sealed it. Triple H said it after in his conference. They said it during time. They was like, I've never in my life experienced or felt that. That was crazy. And to me, that should have been the, okay, yeah, it's time to pass the keys off to somebody else. Jay got it. He's a star. And I know we're past the whole yeet. Like, I know as like a pop culture, like we're kind of past like that whole yeeting thing. But I think if they push him and market him the right way, I think it'll work. Last match, like I said, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Now again, can somebody please explain, explain very quickly in the comments, or send me a video where it's explained. So the way that Michael Cole explained it is that, okay, CM Punk was on WWE for a really long time. He ended up leaving because he had some like personal issues and some other things with the WWE. Now what I do know is that when CM Punk wasn't on WWE, like he was talking a lot of shit about them. But anyway, they said the whole time that he was gone, Seth Rollins was the person who was carrying the WWE on his back for a decade. And no shade, that might be why I don't know nothing about WWE, because I had never heard of Seth Rollins until I started watching the show. I had heard of CM Punk prior to me jumping back into WWE, because I would see him kind of like all over the place. The same way I did with like The Miz and stuff. I would see him mostly probably because I watched like The Challenge. But yeah, so that's that, right? So my thing is, why did it seem like everybody was on CM Punk's side versus Seth Rollins' side if Seth is the one that has been carrying the company for the last couple of years? I'm trying to understand, why is it that the WWE fans seem to be more on CM Punk's side than Seth Rollins, if Seth Rollins is the one who technically carried the WWE for that long? That's just a little confusing to me, but maybe y'all can get in the comments and tell me. The match was okay, similar to like Rhea and Liv. It was alright. I feel as if, and obviously I know we can't like return, like we can't go back in time, but I feel like if you could swap out the match that happened on Monday and swap it out with CM Punk and I think Drew McIntyre's, was it Bad Blood, whatever that they did, the Hell in a Cell that they did. I think that would have been a great way to end the night. I feel like the last match, although it was cool, I feel as if it should have been either Hell in a Cell, like table, ladders, and chairs match, a street fight. It should have been something that's gonna like stick to the customer. Like that's gonna be like, oh ish. Look what happened. He cracked his head. That Bad Blood match with him and Drew McIntyre, I've watched that shit at least 3-4 times. At least 3-4 times. I know that fight pretty damn good because I was really watching it to be like, yeah, fuck all of this. Oh, it's fake. That man's head was cut smooth open. They were really messed up after that fight. That was great. Like that brought me back to like fucking McFoley, that type of shit getting thrown off the top. Shane jumping off the top of the damn cage. That's what shout out to Shane. Shane was always willing to put his body on the line. Lord knows. But that's how I felt like the night should end. I felt like it should have ended in like a big bang, like Hell in a Cell. Like I said, TLC, street fight, something bigger, but it was cool for what it was. I do think, like I said, I feel like overall, if I just wrap it up, I think they got 2.9 million views, so about 3 million views. The numbers to me really matter second week because that shows like who actually like stuck around. So we shall see what the numbers are next week. I will say I feel like they did a good job of trying to like reintroduce themselves into like the mainstream, because that's what it is. Y'all gotta pay attention to the moves between having like rappers come out with wrestlers to, you know, like making kind of like the front row of WWE kind of like how it is at like a basketball game where it's like the front row with celebrities, and not even just that, but highlighting celebrities, you know, throughout the crowd. I think there is a big push for us to for the WWE to kind of get back to the, when I say to back to the like attitude era and back to the ruthless aggression era, specifically like the attitude era, I'm more so talking about just as far as being mainstream. The WWE has not been mainstream in a very, 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 very long time. That's why the last huge star that you have, like from WWE, would be John Cena. The big people that's made it over from wrestling to acting, The Rock. Batista's kind of getting into it. You know, he has some stuff now. I know y'all don't fuck with Goldberg, but Goldberg did for a little bit. And John Cena. But the two biggest ones is The Rock and John Cena. The Rock premiered in like the 90s, okay? And John Cena at this point definitely premiered about 20 years ago. And that's when the WWE was in the mainstream, and I think people may not understand like what that means, right? Because depending on your age, you might not like get what people mean. When I say mainstream, I mean you don't have to watch to be aware of who certain people are. So my grandmother didn't watch wrestling, but she knew that The Rock was a wrestler. My mom wasn't watching wrestling during John Cena's era, but she knew who he was and understood that he was a wrestler. We are no longer there. If you are not into wrestling, you don't know much about it. And that's coming as somebody who just started watching again. Prior to me hopping back into the WWE, yeah, I would see it trending on Twitter and stuff, but because that's not my world, it's nothing that I clicked on. So I don't know anything about any of the people in WWE because that's just not how it has been marketed over the last decade plus. They have not made sure that they were staying at the forefront of the every casual day viewer's mind. And to me, that's kind of where they're trying to go back to. I see it. I respect the play, and I'm here for it. But that's all that I got, y'all. You know, y'all get in the comments and tell me what y'all think. Tell me how long y'all been watching. What did y'all like? What did y'all not like? Yeah, and just tell me if I said anything wrong. But get in the comments. I'm out. Bye.